Yes, this is the version of the WWE Championship that I was telling you about earlier. Right. This is the Andre the Giant version of the WWE Championship belt, or WWF Championship belt, depending on how you look at it. This belt was made specifically for Andre the Giant, and it was actually made for him for that version of Saturday Night's Main Event in 1988. However, the belt was never seen on TV. Why? Because Andre, they decided not to put the belt on there after all. He's in the twilight of his career and he's getting older. He did become a tag team champion at one point with Haku, as everyone remembers, but and yeah, he won the WWF Championship, but controversially and not really in the best way. So this belt is only as valuable as a collector's item. It has the block logo, which the other version has on it, and it has the word World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. But one thing about this belt that many people may not know, it's fucking huge. This belt is 5'2" long. That is the height of some women. Hell, it's almost the height of Rey Mysterio, if you can get an idea. Yes, exactly. Yes, this is the Mrs. It's in the background. The bottom line is, just take a look at this thing. It is enormous. The thing is big. Andre would have been great wearing this thing around, but imagine trying to beat him for this thing, it would be impossible. That's another reason probably why they had Andre only be a 22nd world champion. That's exactly the best thing to go around for someone who's called the 8th wonder of the world. But the belt that was seen on that version of Saturday Night's Main Event. Now, I said this belt was not worn by Hogan. Actually, technically, it was worn by Hogan going into this event. He was the first person to hold it, but he nor Andre exited that living at. In fact, nobody did. The title was considered vacant at that point. At WrestleMania 4, there was a tournament to determine a new world champion, and it came down to the Macho Man Randy Savage and $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. Of course, DiBiase thought he could buy his way to the WWF Championship. And what happened? For the first time in a long time, not Bob Backlund, not Andre the Giant, not Hulk Hogan, not Bruno Sammartino, Macho Man Randy Savage was the World Wrestling Federation champion with the Winged Eagle WWF Championship belt. I have no idea why it's called the Winged Eagle Championship belt. Probably because the Eagles of the wings of the eagle spread out. But this version of the belt was held by a lot of different people. Savage was the first. Hogan held it as well. At one point, Ultimate Warrior held it. And actually, there's a lot of different strap colors when Ultimate Warrior held it. And then, of course, Sergeant Slaughter beats him for the belt. Hogan wins hit from him. Undertaker beats Hogan for the title. Hogan beat belt Taker back for him. Hogan beat Taker. It was then vacated. Ric Flair wins it at the Royal Rumble. Macho Man Randy Savage wins it from him. Ric Flair wins it from him. Bret the Hitman Hart wins it from him. Yokozuna wins it from Bret Hart. Bret Hart beat... Actually, Hogan beat Yokozuna. Then Yokozuna beats Hogan, and then Bret beats and so on and so on, until finally the final person to hold this belt was Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14 when he beat Shawn Michaels for it. This is also the belt that was involved in the screw job in Montreal in 1997, by the way. That belt was replaced by this belt. This is always going to go down as the Attitude Era WWF Championship belt because it officially ended the block logo version of it. I never saw the block logo version of it, so I don't really know if it existed. People say it does, but he was the first one to hold it. And it was the, it's definitely a rounder shaped belt, and the side plates are more like rectangulars and all that. So they're pretty cool. It says WWE. It's supposed to say WWF because there was no WWF there's no WWE Attitude Era. But there was Austin who held it at the time. There was Taker, Kane, Foley, Rock, Triple H. Quite a few people. The last person to ever hold this WWF championship belt, this championship, was Triple H. Until the two titles were unified into one, into the Undisputed WWF Championship. I don't really know how a company can call themselves Undisputed when there's a lot of other companies out there. And TNA was not even yet formed at this point in time, because there was no number two company. There was only one company. So, 2002, the WCW Championship was merged with the WWF Championship, and we had an Undisputed Championship with those two belts. So they decided to make one belt, and that would be the belt that's coming up in a few minutes. But there was also another version of the WWF Championship belt that was made during that time, but exclusively for one wrestler. I mentioned earlier how Andre's belt was never seen on TV. Well, this was a belt that was commissioned for the WWF for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Some say Austin made this belt exclusively for himself, but I kind of find that hard, I believe. I don't think that WWE would make something that Vince McMahon didn't approve of. This is Austin's version of the World Wrestling Federation title. It's called the Smoking Skull title. And there's a good reason. It has the skull with the smoke coming out of the eyes. They're pretty creepy, huh? And of course, the cop shields on the sides and all that. Austin was the only person to hold this belt. I once said that this belt was thrown into the river by Rock. That's wrong, but Rock did kind of bait Austin at one point in 1999 with his belt around his waist, saying he wants it so bad he has to come and get it from them. Well, it's gonna get some good stuff on it, you know. The word "world" finally reappears on the championship. It lost that after it went from Winged Eagle to Attitude Era, and also the cop shields, like I said, they were cool. Then you got the Smoking Skull on there. You have all the barbed wire on the belts and all this, you know. Austin was a pretty badass champion for his runs, you know. It's a shocker to learn that Austin's best run as WWF champion was when he was a heel, working with Vince McMahon, you know. That's actually sad, considering the fact that this was his most well-known run as champion, and yet it was only 3 months. That's it. It was from WrestleMania till the King of the Ring. In the first blood match against Kane, it was covered from head to toe in wrestling gear. How the hell is he supposed to bleed? I mean, give me a break. I know that some rules are meant to be broken, but a guy's covered in head to toe in spandex and boots and shit, and his face is covered with a mask and his hair. Who do you think is gonna win? Obviously, Kane. He was only champ for him for one night, but well, that one night counts. I mentioned earlier that the WWE merged the WCW World Heavyweight Championship with their own World Heavyweight Championship, and this is the belt that came about. The WWF Undisputed World Heavyweight title. That's right. Now, the first person to ever hold this championship belt would be Triple H. Right. He would be given it by Ric Flair the next night on Raw after WrestleMania. Next person who would hold that after him would be Hulk Hogan, who would actually be the final person to be the WWF World Heavyweight Champion, or should I put WWF Undisputed Champion. That's because during this time is when the World Wildlife Fund finally kicked in and said, you know what, we're getting tired of this confusion between our two companies, even though I don't know how you can confuse a panda with a pro wrestler, or whatever. Bottom line is, they said, we came up with the name first, you have to change your name. It's not fair to people keep mistaking us for you guys. So, long story short, some sort of rule they came up with in '94 that they can't sell the merchandise outside North America or whatever, I don't know. But bottom line is, basically Triple H and Hogan were the only two to hold this championship with that particular logo on it. And so one person told me on YouTube that they took a piece of tape and taped it over the WWF logos, and also blurred out all the WWF logos all around the ring, so you couldn't see the logo of the WWF on it. That's fair. That's fair. As you can see, this belt is made first ever championship to have a nameplate on it, by the way, too. It has the lions with the little shields on the side. Pretty cool belt. It's a big belt. But the version that was made after this, oh, this thing was freaking huge. I saw this title, and I'm telling you, this thing is big. Taker is a big guy, no question about it. Also, also, Hulk Hogan was the first person to be the WWE Undisputed Champion as well. Then, of course, Taker and then Brock Lesnar was the final Undisputed Champion because he became exclusive to SmackDown, the whole Undisputed WWE Championship. The whole WWE Undisputed Championship belt thing became a thing of the past. There was no more Undisputed anything until 2011, but that was bullshit. Bottom line, only Hogan, Taker, and Brock Lesnar would be undisputed WWE champions, and from that point on, it would be known as the WWE Championship. Lesnar would be the world champion. Then there would be the Big Show, would be Kurt Angle, Lesnar again, and so on and so on until JBL would lose it to John Cena at WrestleMania 21. Where of course John Cena would hold on to this title for a little while until he would reveal one of the most controversial WWF Championship belts in history. What belt would that be? Have to see it for yourself. Everyone else has.